So a lot of you are looking for good accessories for your tablet, and for a very good reason. Accessories can make or break your tablet experience. So I want to help you on that journey by talking about my favorite Bluetooth keyboards, by talking about my favorite mouse that I use every single day, along with really other mice that I have found that can help your experience. I'm also going to talk about things that can help you if you use Samsung DeX. So I'm going to talk about different monitors and accessories that can help your experience in productivity modes. Even if you use Lenovo's productivity modes, I'm going to talk a little bit about that, and I'm even going to talk about power banks and different charging accessories. So feel free to check the timestamps below, and you could skip to any point in the video that you need, and use those links in the description if you're actually looking to purchase any of these things I talk about. With all that being said, let's get right into it, and let's help you find the best accessories for your tablets. So I do want to start off first by talking about charging bricks and charging cables and what type of charging accessories you might need. Now, some people might be afraid of frying their tablet by using the wrong charger, and they might be afraid of using the wrong cable, or they might not even know what to buy. And that's why I want to give a little bit of extra clarifying information. You see, most laptops out there, they now use the same chargers as tablets and as phones. Very often, even headphones use USB-C. It's the new type of charging technology that even iPhones are using nowadays. So that's why I would recommend finding a charging brick that could charge not only your phone, but also your tablet and also your laptop. And that would allow you to get one charging brick that could charge all the devices in your home. Of course, you could get a slower charging brick, like one that comes with your phone, a 15 watt or a 20 watt charging brick. If you get that, it may trickle charge your laptop. It may charge your laptop very, very slowly, or it may even charge your tablet slowly. But I would actually recommend getting a fast charging brick that could actually charge all of your devices as quickly as possible. And don't worry, if you get a 100 watt charging brick, that is not going to fry your tablet. You don't have to worry about that. The big thing to look for is actually the brand you're buying from. I would look for a reputable brand that's in a lot of stores, and that will allow you to know that you could trust that brand. One of those brands that I really trust is Anker. And Anker is very well known as a good third-party accessory maker. They make a lot of third-party accessories that are even going to be in this video. And Anker actually has a 100 watt charging brick that I actually bought for myself. Of course, these charging bricks are often a little bit bigger. Anker does have smaller charging bricks if you are interested. They just may cost a little bit more. But I was able to get this 100 watt charging brick, and it was able to charge all of my devices, whether it's my laptop or my tablet or my phone, and it's able to charge them very, very quickly. Again, most laptops out there are going to charge at 65 watts, and when you look at tablets, tablets often charge at 45 watts. Now, I do understand there are some exceptions. Some tablets might even charge up to 100 watts, but if you want to find some 65 watt charging bricks, you may be able to find those a little bit cheaper, and that will still cover you in most cases. And even if your device will charge at 100 watts, normally a 65 watt charging brick will charge your devices just fine, and you won't have to worry too much about it. So you might find these a little bit cheaper, and I know Best Buy, for example, they have a brand called Insignia that is really their house brand they have, and that brand actually does make plenty of 65 watt charging bricks, and they do work pretty well in my experience. Again, all of those links will be in the description. Now, you can get a bunch of 30 watt bricks as well if you just want to charge your tablet a little bit slower. Especially Android tablets, they will work with 30 watt bricks just fine. So if you do find something a little bit smaller like this, it is going to work okay. And if you charge your tablet with your phone charger, that's going to be okay too, as long as you trust the brand of the charging brick. But if you look at Ugreen, they are pretty well known. You could also look at Anker. Again, I'm going to have options at various wattages in the description below, so you could find what's right for you. And I want to talk to some people who might not even know what cables to get, because you might be looking at your tablet and you might realize that your tablet accepts USB-C. But let's face it, some charging bricks, if you have a charging brick lying around your house that's like 5 years old, a lot of those charging bricks use USB-A. And that is the wider USB that you typically find in a laptop, whenever you plug in a wireless mouse, for example, or something like that. So I would just be careful and look around your house. If you are looking to buy more charging cables for those charging bricks you have lying around, just make sure to look at the charging brick itself and see if it's wider and if it accepts USB-A, or if it's a little bit smaller and if it accepts the same cable that your phone does. If it does accept USB-C, then you're fine, just buy USB-C to USB-C. But if you do find a charging brick that does use USB-A, just look for charging cables that say USB-A to USB-C. Now, hopefully that is a little bit of a good explanation for most of you, but if you are looking for charging cables, I would once again recommend to just make sure to buy from a reputable brand, and I would recommend Ugreen and Anker. Anker did actually send me this cable right here, and this cable can charge up to 240 watts. Most cables out there will charge up to 100 watts anyway, so you could actually look at the title and actually check, but most cables are going to be able to charge all of your devices at 100 watts, no problem at all. But there are some cables that will charge a little bit faster if you need it, and there are some cables that are better for data transfer. So if you have a device out there, for example, like your phone, or even like a MetaQuest, and you want to connect it to your computer and get data files off, maybe you have an SSD. There are some cables that are much better at data transfer, and that's something you have to keep in mind if you're transferring files. So I would recommend that you get separate cables for charging and separate cables for data transfer, because it's very easy to get very expensive cables for data transfer. If you want longer cables, for example, those cost a lot more if you're trying to transfer stuff. But if you are just trying to charge, you could often find a 10-foot cable for a very reasonable price if it's just for charging and if it's just for 100 watts, for example. And I'm going to have my favorite cables in the description, and I'm going to have the length of those cables, because some cables are pretty long, which is great. I know this cable is a little bit tangled up, but I would recommend, again, just get the length of cable you need, make sure that both ends work, buy from a reputable brand, and that's why I'm going to list them in a certain way down below so you could find what you need. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is battery banks, and the same principles are going to apply to battery banks, because you could find some battery banks like this. This is one of my favorite battery banks. It's from Energizer. You could often find it really cheap, between 20 and 30 bucks. If you find a battery bank like this, it's going to be able to charge your tablets or your phones no problem, but it might charge your tablet a little bit slower. This does charge devices at about 15 watts, so if you are looking to charge your tablet, well, it's going to be a little bit slow going, but if you do use something like this from Anker, this will charge your tablet at 45 watts no problem. Not only that, but you could charge your laptop with this, because this will actually charge up to 100 watts. The cool thing about this one right here is that it actually has a screen, and the screen itself will show you the charging speed. Also, if you plug multiple things in, it is going to take a little bit of that charging power and spread it out. So just be careful and just keep that in mind as you're charging. But the fact that you can charge your laptop with it is a really big deal. Maybe I go to the play place and I'm actually watching my kids play at Burger King, and look, there's no outlets. That would be a really big bummer. And especially with a laptop, let's say you're doing some really good productive work, your laptop could die in an hour or two, and then you're gonna be stuck. But if you have something like this, you know you could just bring it with you and you don't even have to worry about having an outlet. You could also charge your phone or your tablet. There are multiple ports on the top of this, obviously, so if you want to have something in charger 1 and charging 2, and if you want to use even a USB-A port, it does give you a lot of flexibility on this Anker charger here. So this Anker Prime charger is nice. It's one of my favorite devices, but it's going to cost a little bit more than using something from Energizer, using something with a lower charging speed. So if you don't mind your devices charging a little bit slower, if you want to charge your device 3 or even 4 times, you could buy something like this Energizer power bank, and it will power your tablet or your phone no problem, even headphones or Bluetooth keyboards. But if you want something that could actually charge a laptop and charge it at a good speed and your tablet, that's when I would spend the extra money. You might have to spend an extra 50 or 60 bucks, but you're going to get something that is going to be a lot better to bring with you on the go. It will also show you the charging speed. You could use this for pretty much anything that needs something charging at a higher speed. So I really do like that, and it can charge up to 200 watts at the same time, and it can spread it around depending on what you're using it for. You could even prioritize certain devices charging in the settings on this because it does have a little bit of a touchscreen. So this is really awesome, one of my favorite tablet accessories that I own. So the next thing I want to talk about is Bluetooth keyboards, because if you want to get productive, having a keyboard with you is a really big deal. Now I do understand some of your Galaxy tablets, they do have these keyboard cases that you could buy, but those are often very, very expensive. But if you get something lightweight that you could bring with you on the go, you could actually get a better typing experience on it, and you could keep it separate so you could use it when you want it. So that's why I like something like this. This is the Logitech Keys to Go 2. And the reason I like this is because it's so darn portable. So if you look at this, you're going to see just how thin it is. Incredible. And it even has this little flap case here that could flip over the top of your keyboard to protect it. And whenever you want to type, you could just drag it to the back, and you're going to have a full keyboard here. Now this keyboard is a little bit smaller than the other options I'm going to mention today, but it is perfect for my Tab S9. It is terrific because it fits in a very small backpack. I could fit this and my Tab S9 in a backpack very easily. It is super lightweight, and that's why I like it. Obviously the travel is going to be a little worse because it is so light. But still, I really like it, even though it's pretty expensive. It's around 80 bucks depending on where you find it, and it does not have backlighting. So there are some drawbacks, but I do love the fact that it's so lightweight. This is definitely one of my favorites. But if you are wanting something a little bit bigger, you could look at the two other options we have. For one, we do have this option here. It is the Pebble Keys 2. And typically you could find this between $30 and $40. You're going to be able to find it at Best Buy or Amazon. Again, I'm going to have plenty of links down below for you. But this is a keyboard with circular keys, and it's a really nice Bluetooth keyboard overall. It's very similar to the Bluetooth keyboard I've been recommending for a very long time on my channel from Logitech with those circular keys. This is just an updated design, and I do feel like the travel is more than good enough. Even though the keys are a little plasticky, you know, they are going to feel like they are a little bit cheaper compared to the $80 keyboards or $100 keyboards. Still, it does feel like it's decent quality. It's going to have more travel than you're going to find in something like a Galaxy Tab keyboard. And it does allow you to pair to 3 different devices. So if you want to pair this to your laptop and your tablet, you can do that, and you can just switch between them by just pressing the appropriate button, and you just hold down the button you need to make it go into pairing mode. Now this does use batteries. If you are someone who actually wants to use AAA batteries, for example, well, you're going to be able to do that here, and that is a pro and a con. On one end, they do last for a very long time, so I really never have to worry about changing them. I don't have to recharge my device as much. On the other hand, some people just don't like dealing with batteries, but you're going to have to deal with something like that in a cheaper keyboard. Now, one of my other favorite keyboards is the MX Keys Mini. Of course, you can find this in different colors if you prefer a different color, but the MX Keys Mini, it does have better travel, it does have backlighting, and it is going to be a little bit heavier. It's going to be a little bit thicker and a little bit bigger. But I would recommend a keyboard like this if you have something like a Galaxy Tab S10 Ultra. If you have a bigger tablet, you're probably going to want a bigger keyboard, and this is going to be a little bit wider than the other options that I mentioned. Also, having backlighting, that is a really big deal for people, but typically you're going to pay between $80 and $100 for this, depending on where you find it. So I would say it's a very good option. Once again, you could pair it to 3 different devices, and it does have USB-C charging. But if you always leave the backlighting on, and that's the key, if you're always leaving that on, then yeah, you're probably going to have to charge this like every week even if you're using it all the time. If you're using it every day, yeah, you're going to have to charge it a lot. But if you don't use the backlighting, well, this could last like 6 months or even more depending on how you use your keyboard. So a very good option if you want more travel on the keys, and if you really like Logitech. I really like Logitech keyboards. That's why All of my recommendations come from them. They do a great job. Just like these Bluetooth mice that I'm going to talk about. Now, I bought all these Logitech devices with my own money. The only things so far that have been sent to me was this Anker charging bank and this Anker USB-C cable. But I've been buying Anker stuff for a very, very long time, right? But it was cool that they sent that out. But Logitech, they didn't send me any of this stuff, but I have been buying some of their mice, and this is one that I recommend here. It's actually a Logitech M550, and technically it's the M550L. It's a really nice size for me. I think a lot of these mice, they're actually a little bit more flat, and that is great for traveling. So this is the Pebble mouse. And sometimes, if you're looking around, you could find the Pebble mouse is actually linked up with this keyboard. Sometimes they're sold together for a cheaper bundle price. But the thing about this mouse is it's very, very flat. So it's very good when I'm traveling. Let's say I have my Galaxy Tab S9, which is the smaller tablet, and I have this Logitech keyboard, which is very, very small. Having this very thin and light flat mouse is very, very nice for travel. But it is a little bit more uncomfortable whenever you're using it for longer periods of time, of course, because you don't have a lot to rest your palm on. But if you do have a larger mouse, like this M550, well, that is going to be a lot better for long-term usage. So it does depend on who you are. If you want something flat and elegant, I would say the Pebble Mouse 2 is really nice. Also, it does go by a different name in the past, which is the Logitech M355. It is pretty much the same thing. But either way, the Pebble Mouse 2, it can be linked up again with the keyboard. Sometimes it's selling cheaper. And I really do like this mouse for travel purposes. It's really, really good. I will put a middle ground in the description as well. If you're wanting something that's a little bit smaller than this Logitech, I'd say this is a normal full-size mouse. If you're wanting something that's in between this and this flat option, I will put another option down there in the description to check out. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is Samsung DeX. If you're wanting to use Samsung DeX, of course you could use a Bluetooth mouse, you could use a Bluetooth keyboard, and you could just pull up Samsung DeX on your tablet. But if you want to bring Samsung DeX up on a monitor of some kind, there are a couple of different options that could really help you get productive. One option is to get the UPerfect Lapdock. I talked about this in a separate video, so feel free to check that out. I really did a video on Samsung DeX and getting productive with DeX, but the UPerfect Lapdock was a device that I was using quite often, and that's because it's really, really cool. If you plug in your device to this UPerfect Lapdock, and I want to make this clear, this laptop only works with the Tab S9, it works with the Tab S10 Plus, it works with the Tab S8, but it does not work with the FE devices. It does not work with the Tab S9 FE, it does not work with the Tab A9 Plus, so I don't believe it's going to work with the Lenovo Tab Plus, and I don't believe it's going to work with a lot of cheaper Lenovo tablets. This laptop is not Samsung exclusive, so it can work with all types of different devices. But they do have to have the proper protocols built into their USB-C port. So if you have the proper device, I am telling you, using Samsung DeX with this laptop is terrific. Now I should explain actually how a laptop works in the first place if you don't know. Basically, it has its own battery. It's basically like a little laptop shell. And if you charge it and make sure it's all charged up and good to go, you could just plug in your tablet directly to this laptop and you're going to be able to use it for hours getting productive. That sounds really, really cool to have an extra monitor, and you could have a 2-monitor setup with Samsung DeX going to the laptop, and you could still have Android running on the tablet. And the other thing about the laptop is once you plug it in to your tablet, you're actually going to have a bunch of extra stuff with it. For example, the laptop, it could wirelessly charge your phone. The laptop also has extra ports on it, so if you want to plug something else in, you could also charge it from the laptop. You could also use an SD card slot. So I put ROMs on my SD card, for example, so I was able to do some extra gaming and use the SD card slot from the laptop. Not only that, but I could plug in my phone, which has Samsung DeX, and my tablet and access the same files. As long as they're plugged into the laptop, they're going to be able to access those ROMs. That is pretty cool in my book. And the fact that the Lapdock has a keyboard, it really solves a big dilemma for people who need a keyboard to get work done on. So you get a keyboard, you get a touchscreen experience, and you get all these extra ports that you could use for various things. It's really like a USB-C hub and a touchscreen monitor and a keyboard in one. Of course, the mouse, the touchpad, I don't really love it. And every once in a while, the touchscreen would get a little finicky for me. But despite those things, I do think that the Lapdock, if you use my code in the description, you could typically find it around $350 to $400 after you use the promo code I have, and that will bring it to a reasonable price to be able to use it and get work done on. Yeah, it has its flaws, and like I said, I prefer to use it with a Bluetooth mouse, but despite minor flaws, I do think that it is pretty cool. It is a little bit heavy, but it is a good option if you want what it offers. Now, if you want something a little bit lighter, maybe you want a better monitor, but you don't want to have to worry about a wireless charger on the device. You don't want something that's going to be super heavy. You could get something like this Asus monitor, and this monitor does have a built-in battery. I will say though, be careful with what portable monitors you buy. Some portable monitors require power because they don't have batteries. If you find a portable monitor that does not have a battery built in, you're going to have to find some USB-C adapter because your tablets, most tablets out there that run Android, will not power a monitor by itself. Normally, the monitor is going to need another power source or a battery built in. That's why I recommend getting a monitor that does have a battery built in so you don't have to worry about that. So if you get an Asus monitor like this one right here, you're going to be able to get a lot of work done. It has a really nice kickstand on it, which is great. And also it has multiple ports, so it has a lot of use cases. You could plug a Nintendo Switch into it. So if your kids actually want to play Nintendo Switch on the road, you could use it for that. You could use it for watching movies when you're on the road and plug in a tablet and have a very nice tablet screen to hang up in your car. That would be really, really cool. And it's going to be a little more portable than something like the Lapdock. You could also bring the case with it because it does come with a little bit of a travel case. And all those things together make it really, really cool. Plus, there are a lot of options in the settings of the monitor. Just like a normal monitor, you could turn on various settings and change things. So I really do like this option. It will cost a similar amount to the Lapdock, but I will say you don't have to deal with a touchpad that doesn't work great, and you could use a monitor that's pretty awesome in my opinion. Like, it looks really good, and I would argue it does look a little bit better than the UPerfect Lapdock monitor. So it really depends on what you're wanting. Are you wanting a monitor that's more portable and a little bit better for those situations? And are you wanting to bring a separate keyboard? Or are you wanting a one-stop shop and one solution that has everything? The UPerfect Lapdock is great, and I would recommend it to people that are okay with the compromises. But if you're wanting something more portable, this Asus monitor will be great. And even if you don't have a Samsung device, if you have something with a productivity mode that could plug into a monitor, then yeah, whatever device you're using or whatever tablet, I would recommend using it with a monitor like this or with the Lapdock. There is one other accessory I want to mention, and this is just a quick one, but I do want to mention that Anker actually did send this to me right here, and this is a charging station that you could plug into your desk. So if you have a lot of devices out there and you just want one place to charge them all, this is a great option because you just plug this into the wall, and then you're going to have 4 different USB-C ports right here, and you're going to have 2 USB-A ports on the side. You could also prioritize different devices that you want charging, and it does have a screen that you could use, and it has this little button on the side where you could flick through menus and you could just press the button to select things. And this charging station has 6 ports. It charges up to 250 watts, so it's a really good option if you need to charge things. So hopefully this content has helped you out, and if you really do like it, feel free to check those links in the description to buy whatever you need. You could also go and like this video and subscribe to my channel, share this video around. Hey, that would be terrific. And another way you could help me is to check out other content on my channel. I talk a lot about Android phones and Android tablets, so that is a great way to support me. So I really hope you enjoy your tablet, and no matter what tablet you have or what device you have, hopefully these accessories can elevate your experience. So have a good day, and I really, really do hope you enjoy your week.